Hello everyone, and welcome to the World War Photographer channel. Today we will discuss women's role in World War II. Don't forget to subscribe to support our work. It truly means a lot to us. Symbolic of the defense of Sevastopol, Crimea, is this Russian girl sniper, Lyudmila Pavlichenko, who, by the end of the war, had killed a confirmed 309 Germans, the most successful female sniper in history. Filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl looks through the lens of a large camera prior to filming the 1934 Nuremberg rally in Germany. The footage would be composed into the 1935 film Triumph of the Will, later hailed as one of the best propaganda films in history. Japanese women look for possible flaws in the empty shells at a factory in Japan on September 30th, 1941. Members of the Women's Army Corps pose at Camp Shanks, New York, before leaving for overseas duty on February 2nd, 1945. This is the first group of Black American Women's Army Corps to serve abroad. Women workers inspect a partly inflated barrage balloon in New Bedford, Massachusetts, on May 11, 1943. Each part of the balloon must be stamped by the worker who does the particular job, also by the work inspector of the division, and finally by the G inspector, who gives final approval. With some of New York's skyscrapers looming through clouds of gas, some U.S. Army nurses at the hospital post at Fort J, Governor's Island, New York, wear gas masks as they drill on defense precautions on November 27, 1941. 3 Soviet guerrillas are in action in Russia during World War II. An auxiliary territorial service girl crew, dressed in warm winter coats, works a searchlight near London on January 19, 1943, trying to find German bombers for the anti-aircraft guns to hit. German aviatrix Captain Hannah Reitsch shakes hands with German Chancellor Adolf Hitler after being awarded the Iron Cross Second Class at the Reich Chancellery in Berlin, Germany, in April 1941, for her service in the development of airplane armament instruments during World War II. In the back, center is Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring. At the extreme right is Lieutenant General Karl Bodenschatz of the German Air Ministry. Female students in Port Washington, New York, on July 8, 1942, are busily engaged in copying World War II propaganda posters. The master poster is hanging in the background. A group of young Jewish resistance fighters is being held under arrest by German SS soldiers in April or May 1943, during the destruction of the Warsaw Ghetto by German troops after an uprising in the Jewish quarter. More and more girls are joining the Luftwaffe under Germany's total conscription campaign. They are replacing men transferred to the army to take up arms instead of planes against the advancing Allied forces. Here, German girls are shown in training with men of the Luftwaffe on December 7, 1944. Specially chosen airwomen are being trained for police duties in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force. They have to be quick-witted, intelligent, and observant women of the world. They attend an intensive course at the highly sufficient police school, where their training runs parallel with that of the men. Keeping a man in his place, a Women's Auxiliary Air Force member demonstrates self-defense on January 15, 1942. The first Women Guerrilla Corps has just been formed in the Philippines, and Filipino women trained in their local Women's Auxiliary Service are seen here hard at work practicing on November 8, 1941, at a rifle range in Manila. The Italian Maquis have been fighting fascist regimes since 1927, enduring hazardous conditions. Targeting Germans and fascist Italians, they battle in the snow-covered peaks of the French-Italian border. A schoolteacher from the Valley of Aosta fights alongside her husband in the White Patrol on January 4, 1945. Women of the Defense Corps form a V for victory with crossed hose lines at a demonstration of their abilities in Gloucester, Massachusetts, on November 14, 1941. A nurse wraps a bandage around the hand of a Chinese soldier, while another wounded soldier limps up for first aid treatment during fighting on the Salween riverfront in Yunnan Province, China, on June 22, 1943. Women workers groom lines of transparent noses for the A-20J, attack bombers at Douglas Aircrafts in Long Beach, California, in October 1942. American film actress Veronica Lake illustrates what can happen to women war workers who wear their hair long while working at their benches in a factory somewhere in America on November 9, 1943. ACAC girls, members of the Auxiliary Territorial Service, ATS, run to action at an anti-aircraft gun emplacement in the London area on May 20, 1941, when the alarm is sounded. Two women of the German anti-aircraft gun auxiliary operate field telephones during World War II. Young Soviet girl tractor drivers of Kyrgyzia, now Kyrgyzstan, efficiently replace their friends, brothers and fathers who went to the front. Here, a girl tractor driver sows sugar beets on August 26, 1942. Mrs. Paul Titus, a 77-year-old air raid spotter of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, carries a gun as she patrols her beat on December 20, 1941. Mrs. Titus signed up the day after the Pearl Harbor attack. "I can carry a gun anytime they want me to," she declared. Steel-helmeted, uniformed Polish women march through the streets of Warsaw to aid in the defense of their capital after German troops had started their invasion of Poland on September 16, 1939. Nurses are seen clearing debris from one of the wards in St. Peter's Hospital, Stepney, East London, on April 19, 1941. 4 hospitals were among the buildings hit by German bombs during a full-scale attack on the British capital. Life magazine photojournalist Margaret Bourke-White wears high-altitude flying gear in front of an Allied Flying Fortress airplane during a World War II assignment in February 1943. Polish women are led through woods to their executions by German soldiers sometime in 1941. These Northwestern University girls brave freezing weather to go through a Home Guard rifle drill on the campus in Evanston, Illinois, on January 11, 1942. As they await assignment to their permanent field installations, these Army nurses go through gas mask drills as part of the many refresher courses being given them at a provisional headquarters hospital training area somewhere in Wales on May 26, 1944. Movie actress Ida Lupino, a lieutenant in the Women's Ambulance and Defense Corps, is shown at a telephone switchboard in Brentwood, California on January 3, 1942. In an emergency, she can reach every ambulance post in the city. It is in her house, and from here she can see the whole Los Angeles area. The first contingent of US Army nurses to be sent to an Allied advanced base in New Guinea carry their equipment as they march single file to their quarter on November 12, 1942. With practically every member present, the US House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. hears its second woman speak, other than a member, as Madame Chiang Kai-shek, wife of China's Generalissimo, pleads for maximum efforts to halt Japan's war aims on February 18, 1943. US nurses walk along a beach in Normandy, France on July 4, 1944, after they had waded through the surf from their landing craft. They are on their way to field hospitals to care for the wounded Allied soldiers. A French man and woman fight with captured German weapons as both civilians and members of the French Forces of the Interior took the fight to the Germans in Paris in August of 1944, prior to the surrender of German forces and the liberation of Paris on August 25th. A German soldier, wounded by a French bullet, is disarmed by 2 members of the French Forces of the Interior, one a woman, during street fighting that preceded the entry of Allied troops into Paris in 1944, Elizabeth Lilo Gloden stands before judges on trial for being involved in the attempt on Adolf Hitler's life in July 1944. Elizabeth, along with her husband and mother, was convicted of hiding a fugitive from the July 20th plot to assassinate Hitler. The three were executed by beheading on November 30th, 1944. Their executions were much publicized later as a warning to others who might plot against the German ruling party. An army of Romanian civilians, men and women both young and old, dig anti-tank ditches in a border area on June 22, 1944, in readiness to repel Soviet armies. Miss Jean Pitcaithy, a nurse with a New Zealand hospital unit stationed in Libya, wears goggles to protect her against whipping sands on June 18, 1942. 62nd Stalingrad Army on the streets of Odessa, the 8th Guard of the Army of General Chuikov on the streets of Odessa, in April of 1944. A large group of Soviet soldiers, including 2 women in front, marched down a street. A girl of the resistance movement is a member of a patrol to rout out the German snipers still left in areas in Paris, France, on August 29, 1944. The girl had killed 2 Germans in the Paris fighting 2 days previously. Grande Guillotte of Normandy, France, pays the price for being a collaborationist by having her hair sheared by avenging French patriots on July 10, 1944. A man at the right looks on with grim satisfaction at the unhappy girl. Women and children, some of over 40,000 concentration camp inmates liberated by the British, suffering from typhus, starvation, and dysentery, huddled together in a barrack at Bergen-Belsen, Germany, in April 1945. Some of the SS women, whose brutality was equal to that of their male counterparts at the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp in Bergen, Germany, on April 21, 1945. A Soviet woman, harvesting a field torn by shells only a short time ago, shakes her fist at German prisoners of war as they march eastward under Soviet guard in the USSR on February 14, 1944. In June 19, 2009, Susie Bain of Austin holds a 1943 picture of herself as a Women Air Force service pilot during World War II. Bain, one of 300 surviving women air service pilots, helped campaign for the Congressional Gold Medal, which was awarded to over 200 veterans on March 10, 2010. Thanks for watching until the end. If you enjoyed these historical World War photos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.